Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining week 3 of our Thrive in 5 Prospecting and Redtail series. Today is going to be using Redtail in the real world. So, this is going to be going over ways we can track our prospect clients and other clients as well for more of a personal relationship. So, just different fields and stuff we can use with that. We're also going to be going over the seminar feature as well inside of the system. So first off, what I want to talk about is, and again, we talked about this a little bit in week 1, is just sort of prepping your data so you have the ability to report on it. But what we're going to be talking about right now is mainly user-defined fields and how we can use those to help with our prospecting and also set up, again, for those personal relationships so we can track a lot of information that's going to be beneficial to keep those relationships going. So what I'm going to do is go right up here to our name in the top right hand corner. I'm going to click on Manage Your Account. Once we're on the Manage Your Account page, we can scroll down to the box that says Admins Only, and we have the ability to go to Manage Database Lists. Now once we're here, we're going to look at specifically, first off, is the user-defined fields. And what I do want to point out is that user-defined fields are in 2 different locations inside of Redtail. One of them being on the first one of this list on the right-hand side is under Accounts. But we're going to look at it more on a broader aspect for the contacts themselves. So I'm going to go to the Contact section and scroll down right here to where it says User-Defined Fields here, and I'm going to click. Once I select user-defined fields, I'm now going to have a list of all of the available user-defined fields in my system. Now, if you're not familiar with what a user-defined field is, it's an actual, the best way to describe it is a field in Redtail that you actually get to customize completely. So if there's something in Redtail where we don't have a field for, and you actually want to report on that, you can create it, and then you can actually run reports to find that information. So for instance, what we're looking at here is we already have some created like alma mater, things like car type, coffee preference, things like that. So these are going to be like more personal relationship builders that you can actually put on your contacts. Another thing I want you to notice is that there's field types on all of the user-defined fields. So there's things like any text, yes or no. We even have options like list of values. And the one I want to point out that we're going to be using for list of values right now is generation. So we actually want to track the different generations for like the age groups for our clients, just so we can better manage and see where they are. And because you're probably going to deal with someone from the baby boomer generation a little bit different than you deal with someone from the millennial generation. And so we can put that information in. So what I'm going to do is go over here to the right hand side. I'm going to choose the drop down to edit this and take a look at what our options are. So generation is a list of values. And right now we have 4 values. It can be X, Y, millennials, baby boomer. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in one more, because after the millennials, we now have generation Z. So I'm going to hit the plus sign and I'm going to put a Z. Now again, you have complete control what are going to be in these fields. So maybe if you don't want to say just X, Y, and Z, we can type in the word Gen. So we'll do Gen X, Gen Y, and then same here, we're going to do Gen Z. And then we have millennials and baby boomer. So what I'm going to do is update the user-defined field, and this is just updating it in the back side of things. So I have the ability to choose those list of values now for all of my clients. Another way you can possibly track, like for millennials and even just different generations, is going to be keywords. So if I go to my keywords under contacts, right over here on the right hand side, again, the keyword is going to be, I'm going to tag a client with this particular keyword. What this does is gives me the ability to layer it with different searching. So I'm going to scroll down, and what you'll notice is under the M's, I already have millennial here. So it really comes down to how you want to report on these different generations if that's what you want to look forward to. So if I'd rather it be in a user-defined field with the value of what their generation is, or if I want to create 5 different generation keywords and just tag them with it here. Again, it's up to you. Today we're really going to be using it with user-defined fields, but I did just want to point out those 2 options for you as well. So what we're going to do is let's add these user-defined fields to a contact record. And earlier in week 1, we were working with Richie Rich. So I'm going to go to my recently viewed icon up here in the top right-hand corner. This shows me the last 15 contact records I've been in. And now I'm going to click on Richie Rich. And so to add a user-defined field, it's going to be on the main page. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit past the contact details, and we'll see here in the one look section where we have keywords and tags, UDFs, financials, important info, and miscellaneous client info, I already have UDF selected. And in this field, I can see that there's no current user-defined field set up on Richie Rich. So even though my user-defined field list was really, really long, I only have them on the contact once I manually choose to add them there. So I'm going to go over to the right-hand side and choose Add. And actually what I should do is let me double check to see what generation he is. I'm going to scroll up to the contact details, and I can see that Richie Rich was born in 1981. And so that actually puts him as part of the millennial generation. So I'm going to hit Add on the right-hand side, and then I'm going to locate my generation keyword. So user-defined field of generation, and I'm going to select millennials right here. And now I'm going to add that user-defined field. Again, if you choose to use a keyword as opposed to user-defined field for this, you can also come over here to the keywords, and then you can choose to add keyword from here. And so if I want to add millennial, I can select it and then add to that list. Back on user-defined fields, I can also add other values. So if I know that, certain information and personal information about Richie Rich, I can put that. So for instance, if when talking to him, I find out that I know his favorite Major League Baseball team. And so I'm just going to use mine. We'll use the SF Giants. I can type that in, and you'll see this isn't a drop-down list. This is actually a free-form text. So this is a text box that I can add in whatever value I wish. And then also maybe since we ran into him at the grocery store and we were like next to the cookies and we talked about, hey, like he really likes snickerdoodle cookies. I can also put in, if you have cookie preference as an option, you can type that in. So I can add snickerdoodle. So you see just the little bits of information that you find out about your clients and prospects, you can add that information in. Right at the beginning, it might not seem that important to put this information in, but those little bits are going to help with that personal touch that you're going to provide to your prospects and your clients. Now, we could go one by one, trying to find every single contact record who was a millennial in their contact record, but what I'd rather do is add this information in bulk. So I'm going to go to the left-hand navigation menu and click on Contacts. Once I click on that, I'm going to go up to the top and click on Advanced Search. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to add a user-defined field of millennials to anybody who was born between 1980 and 1995, because that's currently our millennial generation. And so to do that, I can actually start up at the top and I can choose my type is going to be contact. My field is going to be date of birth year, so DOB year. Operand, what I'm going to start with is greater than or equal to. So here's where I'm going to put 1980. Then to the right-hand side, I can choose and, so I can narrow down what my search is because it's between certain years. I'm going to do the same thing of contact DOB year. So contact date of birth year now is going to be less than or equal to, and I'm going to put 1995. I'm going to run that search. And so here I have 55 contact records that actually meet the criteria of being between 1980 and 1995. So I know this for sure is my millennial generation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all on the left-hand side, make sure all 55 are selected, and use my contact options on the right-hand side. Once I choose contact options, I'm going to select bulk actions. And then from here, I'm going to scroll down and look for user-defined field. So this is where I get to add a user-defined field to all of the selected records. Once I select the UDF, I'm going to locate my generation. So generation, and these are going to be millennials. Now, just in case, if you need to overwrite anyone that existed, you can do so. So I'm going to check that box. just in case somebody's mislabeled, and I'm going to assign the UDF. And so now this is going to attach the user-defined field on every single contact record that was selected. So now I know that I have 55 contact records who have UDF for generation equal to millennial. Now, what if I do want to run a report to find everybody? Now, to run reports on user-defined fields, what we can do is go to the left-hand side and click on Reports. In our report section, I'm going to scroll down to where I have UDF reports, and then right here I have contact user-defined fields. Once I select this, it takes me directly to my UDF report, but anytime I go to reports, I first want to go to filter in the top right-hand corner so I can control exactly what I'm looking for. Now here I only have two options at first. I can select for just a contact name, or I can select which user-defined field I'm looking for. And I'm looking for generation. And this one's going to be generation contains millennials. And now I can apply that filter, and it's going to show me here's every single contact record that now has a user-defined field of millennial on their contact record. If I need to do anything in bulk with this contact list, what I'm going to do is hit search up here in the top right-hand corner, and then I have the ability to run bulk actions for these 55 selected contact records. Now, one of the bulk actions I might want to do is going to be adding this group to a seminar. So let's go ahead and switch over and talk a little bit about seminar management, and then we're actually going to add this group of contacts to that list. So seminars are going to be located on the left-hand side in our left navigation menu. I'm going to click on seminars. Once the page loads, it's going to show you all the currently active status seminars that you have in your database. And so what we're going to do is, in regards to prospecting and even retaining our current clients, what I want to do is I'm going to run a beer tasting event. And I want to invite all of my prospects, and then also I want to invite the millennial generation. Because I also know that I have quite a few clients who have children that are now, they're out of college and they're starting to, put their financial situation together. And I want to make sure and invite them as well, because I have them in my database. I want to make sure and start that personal relationship with them. So I'm not only prospecting to new clients, but prospecting to my current clients' children and even like those generations as well. So to start a brand new seminar, I'm going to go to the right-hand side and choose New Seminar. And now I get to name it. So I'm just going to call this Beer Tasting Event. So I'm going to choose the status. I have either active or prior. This one's going to be listed as active. And I'm going to choose when is this event going to be taking place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim for, let's do Friday afternoon on June 2nd. All right, so my start and end date is going to be June 2nd, and then my time, let's go for, we don't want 6 a.m., we're going to do 6:30 p.m., and we'll have this go till about 9. So I'm going to add this seminar, and as soon as I hit the green button to add the seminar, it's going to take me directly to the seminar page. And so you'll see I still have the name, the beer tasting event, the status, my start date, end date, and the start and end time. What I can do now is put in the location. So let's say there's a brand new brewery, and we'll call it Redtail Brewing. So we're actually going to have it at the brewery, and we can just put the location there, and then a description. So if you want to put further detail about the seminar, you can put that in this box right here. A few other things I want to point out is down below, I have two options, or two other boxes. I have the linked workflow section. And what this is for is where I can create a workflow that works in conjunction with my seminar. So if I'm doing a client event, and I already have a client event workflow set up, what I'm going to do is choose Add, and then Create New Workflow. Once I choose that, it's going to ask me which workflow template do I want to use, and I already have one that we've set up called the client event process. And I'm going to call it the same thing, so we'll call it Beer Tasting Event 2017. And then from here, we're going to put the target date of June 2nd as well. I'm going to create that workflow. So now this just added an event an actual workflow event to my seminar. And so I'm going to right click, and here's a best practice. If you right click on any button in Redtail, you can choose to open it in a new tab. So I'm going to open that in a new tab and see what I have available. And so you'll see it's just a simple workflow checklist of putting together a guest list, set the venue, create, send an invite, set the catering, and print an attendee list. So I'm going to jump back over to the left-hand side, and we're going to go through some of those functions that we can do inside of the seminar. So first off, what I want to make sure is anytime I make changes to my seminar, you always want to hit the Update Seminar button. So that way you know those changes are going to be saved. Because if you make a bunch of changes, then exit out of it, we don't want to lose that information. Back over here on the main seminar page, you'll see that I have the beer tasting event is set up here. And right now there's 0 attendees attached to this. So what I'm going to do is add my attendees to my seminar. And right now there are 3 ways you can possibly add someone to a seminar event. And so I'm going to click on beer tasting. And from here, I'm going to go down to the middle section here and click on Manage Attendees. Once I select Manage Attendees, I have the ability to come over to the right-hand side and choose Add Attendee. And this is where I can add the contacts one by one. So if I want to add Richie Rich, I can select Search Rich and find Richie Rich. And then the status right here. This status is completely customizable on your end. So when you go to the Manage Your Account and then Manage Database List section, there is a drop-down list that you get to customize for what statuses you want for your seminar attendees. And so what I'm going to do is just start with having mark a seminar invited. And I'm going to add that event. So now add that contact. So now I have Richie Rich is attached as an attendee to the seminar with the status of invited. Now again, this is doing things one by one. I also have a way where I can do it inside of the contacts record. So maybe I also ran into another contact recently, and I told him that we were having this event, and so I'm going to make sure and add him to it as well. So I'm going to go to the top right-hand corner to my recently viewed, and then we're going to invite Emmett Brown. So again, even though he's not part of the millennial generation, I'm still inviting some current active clients and my prospects, and then people from the millennial generation. So it's a large group of people because I want to make sure my prospects can actually, talk with other people who are my current clients during this beer tasting event. And so I'm going to scroll down, and we can see all the contact details, and then we even have all of his user-defined fields here, lots of information. But in the top right-hand corner, I have my common tasks icon, the stack of papers icon right here. When I click on that, inside of a contact record, I can choose Add to Seminar. So this is a second way you can add contacts one by one. So I'm going to find the beer tasting event, and I'm going to choose the status of invited as well. And I'm going to link him to the seminar. Now, the last way we can add contacts to our seminar is going to be in bulk. So what I first want to do is make sure I'm inviting all of my millennials that I just worked with. So let's run that report again. So I'm going to go to Reports on the left-hand side. I'm then going to scroll down to UDF Reports and choose Contact User-Defined Fields. Now I'm going to filter them to just the millennial generation. And so we'll choose generation is millennials. The good thing about this, I believe, since it's 1995 is the end of millennials, everyone is 22 years of age and older. So I'm going to apply this filter so I know that I'm inviting people in the proper age group to this beer tasting event. So now that I have this group of contacts who are filtered to the generation of millennials, I can choose to send them to search in the top right-hand corner. And then I'm going to make sure and select all. So very similar to how we added that user-defined field in bulk, we're going to select all of them here, choose contact options on the right-hand side, and then bulk actions. And then second one down from the top, add to seminar. And now I'm going to select my seminar, and we have the beer tasting event. And these are all going to be seminar invited. So I'm going to add them to that seminar. So let's add some other groups of people who I want to make sure are going to be coming to this event as well. So I want to make sure that I'm inviting all of my prospects, my hot prospects. And so for that, I have prospect as a status and hot as a category. So I'm going to choose the type of contact, and then we'll do contact status is going to be equal to prospect. And then I'm going to choose and then I'm going to choose contact category is going to be equal to hot. So I'm going to run that search, and just like before, here's 14 people who meet that criteria. I'm going to select them, choose contact options, bulk actions, and I'm going to add to seminar. And so same thing, we're going to add them to the beer tasting event, mark them as invited. Now, because we're adding in bulk, I do want to point out that sometimes you might have the same person on multiple lists. So maybe they were a millennial, but they're also a hot prospect on there as well. I do want to assure you that if you add someone twice to a seminar, they do not duplicate in the seminar. It only adds them once. But if you do add them again, it just essentially updates that they were added. So you won't have any duplicates if the same person is on two different lists. So one other search, I want to make sure I'm inviting a lot of people here because normally I invite a lot of people, but not normally that many people. I'm not going to have all of them show up. So I want to make sure and get a big group here, and I want to make sure I still have some of my top clients that are going to be coming to this as well. So again, even though I'm prospecting, I still want some of my current clients to be part of this. So I'm going to do contact status equal to active, and I'm only going to do my top clients. And I'm going to do and contact category is going to be equal to AAA. So I'll run that search. And then I'm going to make sure and select all 72 people here, and then contact options, bulk actions, and then I'm going to add them to the seminar. There we go. Select our beer tasting event and mark them as invited. And then last thing, add the seminar button right there. So now I actually have a pretty big list of all these people that I've invited to my seminar. So I've invited my prospects, so with the category of hot, I've invited my AAA active clients, and I've invited all of the millennials that I have in my database. Well, I actually haven't invited them yet, but I've added them to the seminar. So I know I'm going to invite them. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to go back and click on seminars. And what I'm going to notice here is that for the beer tasting event, I have 131 attendees that are already set up as part of this event now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over to my workflow tab that I have here. I put together the guest list and we can complete that out. We set the venue. Then we have the option to create and send an invite. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually show you a trick. So you have the ability to do some marketing in Redtail, like sending a broadcast email. So I can send this whole group of contacts an email inviting them. So to do that, what I can do is on the seminar page, I'm going to locate my event, choose the action button, and then I'm going to choose send to search. So this is sending all 131 contact records to the search page to where I can now make sure all are selected. I'm going to choose my contact options and then bulk actions. And I'm now choose broadcast email. So especially for like younger generations, most of the time they're not getting invites in mail. It's going to be over email. So this is just one option that you have to get the word out about this event. And so I can actually fill out the subject line here. I'll put "You're invited. Beer tasting." Perfect. That would catch my attention. And so right here, you can then fill out the body of the email. Now there's other things that for the personal touches that I do want to point out where you might write "Dear valued customer." Now in this case for a broadcast email, we're sending out 131 emails right away. So it's not one email that has 131 people BCC'd or CC'd on it. It's going to be 131 separate emails, sending one to each selected contact. So I want to be more personable because they're not knowing I'm sending to a large group. So I can do things like I can write "Hey," and then we have a merge field where I can do #, first name, #, and then do the comma. So it's going to automatically fill out the first name of the selected contact. So it's going to have that personal touch for this email that I'm sending them. And then from here, I can fill out the body of the email, or maybe you have a PDF or something that you want to attach that has like instructions or directions to this event, and you can choose to attach the files right here as an attachment. As soon as you create this email, all you have to do is come down to the bottom and choose Send Broadcast Email. And it's going to send out all 131 emails to all those selected contacts. When they respond, it'll come back into your email. So I do want to point out that if you do want to be able to do broadcast email through Redtail, you do need to set up your preferences inside of going to your name in the top right-hand corner and then selecting Preferences. Once you're on the Preferences page, you're going to scroll down to the section that says Emails. So I'm going to scroll all the way down here. And what you need to make sure and do is you can fill out your signature, and then these last 5 boxes, or the 4 boxes right here, that all start with SMTP, which is Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. But what I like to say is SMTP stands for Send Mail to People. So this is your outgoing server settings for your hosted email. So if Redtail hosts your email, we can definitely provide you with those settings. But if you have another email host, all you have to do is just ask them what your SMTP settings are, so you have the ability to send out an email through Redtail. And again, this is just for outgoing email. Emails won't come into Redtail for you to read. They will come back to your actual email client that you're using. So as we start to hear back from all the clients, if I go back over to seminars, I want to start managing who's saying yes and who's saying no. So as I get those invites back, I can come over here and click on the beer tasting event. And then I have the button right here to choose Manage Attendees. And now it's listing out all of the attendees that I actually have attached to the seminar. So let's say that Richie Rich said he was going to be coming. So let's scroll down to his contact record. Right here, so we have Richie Rich. I'm going to choose the drop down and choose Update Attendee. And now I can choose his status. So if he said he was coming, I can put Seminar RSVP yes. Perfect. I'm going to update that. You also notice that if they choose that they're going to bring a guest, you can also choose the action button and choose Guest List. And then this pops up to where you can actually type in the name of the guest. So if they responded back with who they're bringing, you can type that name in. I'm not sure who Richie Rich's friends are, so I'm just going to put, I think I'm going to put myself. So we're going to put, he's bringing Curtis Ware. All right, so I'm going to add myself as a guest. That'd be pretty exciting. And so it actually logs in the guest as well. So that's not actually creating a contact record. It's just marking that Richie Rich is bringing somebody who's possibly not part of our database. The other option you have, like if they are bringing a guest and you know, hey, that person is part of our database, in the manager account, you can just add them directly as an attendee as well, because maybe they are a client of yours, and so you can actually make sure that you're not having them on there twice. So back over to the left-hand side, if I click on seminars, I do also want to show a few more things that you can do in regards to the seminar page, and that is you can actually run a few reports. So right here, if I choose the action button, I can then choose reports. And again, this is for the beer tasting event. And I have a few reports here. So I have a seminar workflow report, which is going to show us what's currently been done with our workflow over here to the right. So if I click on this tab, it'll show me where we're at with this. But the one above it is the seminar attendee report. So when you select this, it's going to download a PDF, and it's going to have a whole list of all the clients who you have set up as attendees. Great thing about this is it's not really specifically designed to be like a sign-in sheet, but you can use it as such. And so we'll see right here, it lists everybody, shows their address information, phone numbers. So you actually see we're missing some information. So if they do show up, you can ask them to fill that out as well. If I scroll down a little bit and we find Richie Rich, go right here, what you're going to notice, so we have Richie Rich, and then also guest shows Curtis Ware right here. So if you have a new prospect and that's available, so here's somebody that you can actually ask for information that they can fill out in this blank spot, and so you can add them in as a new prospect to your database. And so you can start that whole prospecting with the guests that your actual seminar attendees are going to be bringing. And thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions, feel free and contact our support team at 1-800-206-5030, or you can email us at support@redtailtechnology.com. Thank you and have a great day.